All right, welcome back. My name is Chris Sachinelli. I build, buy, and sell simple, profitable businesses every single day. And today I want to talk to you about preparing for this upcoming economic storm, this recession that we're hearing about all over the news, this concept of inflation going through the roof, right? Gas is going to be $10 a gallon, mortgages are going to be 10% plus interest, an omelet's going to cost me $25 to eat, right? Like all of this craziness, right? We're also seeing a lot of folks getting laid off, right? The job market is flipping. I want to talk about why and then what we can do as investopreneurs and why really the time is now for our concept of investpreneurship. Why everybody, not just you, but everybody that you know should be an investpreneur over the next several years, right? It's the best possible way for you to weather this upcoming storm. First, let's talk about the upcoming storm. What's going on, right? So we're seeing inflation, right? So in one scenario, you have prices going through the roof, right? I don't want to go into detail as to why. That's probably good concept for another video, but there's a ton of reasons why, realistically, right? So we're going to continue to see the prices increase, which means that our buying power is less, which means that if you have cash, your cash is able to buy you less things. It's worth less, right? So it's literally deteriorating as we speak, right? On top of that, you have a shift in the overall environment, right? So credit facilities are going away. Capital in the market is going away. Fewer folks are doing investments, right? We saw the articles from Y Combinator to their portfolio companies. If you are a startup, to make sure that you have a runway of at least a couple of years to be able to weather the storm. Pretty much every investor in the world is telling their portfolio companies to reduce their burn so that they have a longer runway. By burn, mean things like how much you're spending to be able to operate, right? The way in which folks typically reduce burn is reducing headcount, right? Cut the number of folks that you have on payroll. Oftentimes people make great companies, but oftentimes people is the largest expenditure of a company as well. So you're going to see folks readjusting, right? Not only are they readjusting to hit this thing called the runway and the burn rate, but they're also looking at forecasts and they're updating forecasts, right? So previously, maybe I'm doing a forecast 12 or 24 months out. Economically, everything looks okay. I think that sales are going to continue on a certain trajectory. So I'm building my business accordingly, right? So maybe I'm forecasting $100 million in revenue, right? Out 12 months or 18 months or 24 months. In order to achieve that, I know I need this many folks. I need to have this much support system. I need this much for marketing. I need this for my operational expenses, etc. If now I'm no longer forecasting 100 million, I'm forecasting 50 million, right? Again, rolling outwards, right? You build into those forecasts. So I've already proactively hired, right? You don't hire when you need folks. You're hiring folks for a ramp up, a 3 to 6 month ramp up typically, right? So if this cycle is like, if you're proactive, if you're leading into your forecasts, and then you're also trying to be proactive into pulling back, right? And now you are where you are in the market. What does that ultimately mean for a business owner, especially a business owner that's being guided by their strategic advisors, their investors, etc., a board to tighten up runway and burn? You end up laying folks off, right? So the byproduct is I'm no longer have this revenue. I don't need this headcount anymore. I'm also being told about that. So I reduce costs and I'm going to lay folks off, right? That becomes a byproduct of it. Folks get laid off. Now they don't have discretionary income. Fewer folks are buying things. Now you're seeing, shifts in the market because there's fewer folks buying things, right? We're already facing and fighting things like inflation, right? So, it's not like a great picture. And the byproduct of all of this is, how do you weather the storm, right? So as an individual, how do you weather the storm? And when we talk about investopreneur, what we really talk about and promote is go get a job, get somebody to pay you to get experience, take all that experience, some of that pay, and then go build an asset on the side, get your asset to match your income and go level up, right? Build a portfolio that ultimately over time is the only thing that can promote you, right? In your journey that is life, right? And that's how you incrementally grow as a investopreneur, right? As a savvy capitalist, a bootstrapping capitalist in a sense. Now, that requires two things. One, go get a job, right? So you have to, in this scenario, be locking down income. You have to be locking down opportunities. The second is go get something on the side, right? Secondary sources of income and cash flows. The reality is, in this scenario, because it's not just economic uncertainty and lack of security in your core primary position, your jobs, right? So if it was just a regular overall scenario where folks were getting laid off or whatever the case may be, I would say definitely make sure you have other things, right? Because you don't know if it's going to happen to you or not, right? Uncertain times. In this scenario, it's uncertain times combined with increase in prices, right? So you don't just need one other thing on the side. You need like a couple of other things on the side, and you need also assets. And I'm going to talk for a second why you need assets, not just income and cash flow, but you definitely need income and cash flow. And you really want to get into income and cash flow that scales, right? You want things that scale. You don't want to be going and driving Uber where you have to spend X number of hours in order to make X much dollars. You want to be in a situation where you can scale price, right? For the same amount of time, whatever you're doing, you want to be able to scale income incrementally. You want to be in a good vehicle that can do that for you. That's how you're going to combat the prices, the forces of inflation. Coming back to assets, I talked about assets because, when we're talking about inflation, if you have money in the bank, right? Say you have $1 million in cash in that bank and you're like, oh, I got $1 million in cash, I'm good. No, the reality is you're not, because the cash that you have is worth way less, right? As prices continue to rise, your money is worth less. It's buying less. There's lower buying power, right? You can't buy the same things. If a carton of eggs is $1, right? And I have $100, I can buy 100 cartons of eggs. I have $100 worth of buying power. But if prices of eggs are now $10, right? And I have $100, I can only buy 10 cartons of eggs. $100 doesn't mean the same thing when it comes to my life, like what I can get, what I need, right? So don't think about it as cash on hand. What you need to think about is assets. Assets is where you park your cash in these types of times. Assets are things that are going to appreciate, right? Whereas your cash is depreciating, it's worth less every single day. You want to get it into an asset, something that, cash flows for you, that has value, intrinsic value to it, that's going to appreciate. So that way you can at least appreciate at par with inflation, or minimally a little bit less than what your cash is going to do, right? So you can combat it a little bit more. Assets are examples. An example of an asset is a company, is buying a remote business, is buying a business in general, is buying, potentially something like real estate or something else. But a business is a great vehicle to buy in inflationary times, because you can toggle and put fuel to the fire for the revenue, right? It's a vehicle that you can scale revenue with. Whereas with real estate, you're pretty much fixed. You can only raise rents certain ratios and at certain rates, right? So you're pretty much, and you can only rent so many doors. If I only have one house with one door, I can only rent one door, and I can only raise rent so much every so often. I mean, by like law, but also in general, right? Markets, what markets dictate, etc. If you have two doors, you can only rent two doors. Then, what happens if you're not renting a door, whatever the case is. With a business, you can build a business system that you can then scale to more customers. And that's also why remote businesses are so phenomenal in this type of market, in this type of time, because you're not geographically constrained, right? Like, what happens if you live in a town and you're, a mom and pop brick and mortar, or whatever the case may be, and you're relying on the customer base and the cash flow from that town, and then everybody in that town loses their job and nobody's buying anything, right? With a remote business, I can go and sell to anybody in the world, right? As long as I have a product that can, digitally be delivered, and I can market and acquire customers pretty much anywhere. So you have elasticity of demand for you to be able to sell more, right? Better growth vehicle to be in. One of the reasons why this is like the phenomenal time to be buying simple, profitable remote businesses, right? So for all of those reasons and tons of more that we haven't discussed, this is like the time for you and everybody to be an Investopreneur. And one of the best ways to be an Investopreneur is to become a venture scout. As a venture scout, you're going to be able to work to learn how to do deals, incrementally get revenue, earn money, which you can earn potentially a significant amount of money potentially, as well as be put in a position where you can also get assets, right? Like, it is like probably the best vehicle for somebody who's looking for something on the side right now, right? Again, go get a job first and then go get other things on the side. Being a venture scout is probably like one of, if not the, who knows what is the best, but I'd like to think it's pretty darn good in this type of scenario in terms of something on the side, right? You're in a situation where you can sell more. You're in a position where you can incrementally earn and scale your income based off of your activity and the vehicle in which you're in. You have almost unlimited earning power, right? You're in a situation where you're being supported, and in the process of earning and supporting, you're also in a position where you're going to potentially be able to, also, leverage the income and the knowledge that you acquire. Again, get a position that gets you income and experience. Take all of that experience, some of that pay, go build an asset on the side. As a venture scout, you can take all of that experience, some of that income, if not all that income, because it's your side income, and then go do it on your own and start picking up some assets. Because we will show you how to do deals. We will show you how we buy remote virtual businesses. We'll show you how we qualify a deal. We'll show you how to put a simple business system into a deal, right? By simple business system, I mean, how do you simplify for profitability? Because that's what we do. As a venture scout, you work folks through a micro accelerator up front, what we call a micro accelerator. It's a simple business system where you're getting folks structure and accountability, strategies to execute outcomes in 4 weeks or less, right? You follow a very systematized approach that we provide you, teach, train, equip you how to do with startup founders, bootstrapping startup founders. You get them into that structure, you get them into the accountability, you lay out structure, strategy, and it's all about how you incrementally grow the profitability of business. So you're literally doing that with others, and the best way to learn is to teach, right? So we teach you, and then we put you in a position where you can do it with others. So that's the best way you're going to get experience and learn. And then while you're doing it, you're in a position to earn, right? And if a deal comes to the micro accelerator, it's a qualified deal, and they're in a good position, qualified position to join our acquisition accelerator, we buy businesses. And this is how we qualify deals through the micro accelerator, so that we're buying good businesses. We buy, good businesses and simple businesses. If it's a deal that you end up moving through to the acquisition accelerator, you have the opportunity to earn a pretty decent amount of money. You're going to be a part of the deal. You'll earn up to $5,000, which may shift and may make, we may make that more in inflationary times, who knows? But as of right now, it's $5,000 in profit share from being a part of that deal. And then you'll earn $10,000 as a success fee if the transaction closes, which also may end up changing based off of structures and economics of the program. But as of right now, it's up to $15,000 per deal that you're involved with. And also, by being a part of the program, we're kind of co-committing to help you get to 10 deals at any given time, right? We're going to feed you up to 10 startups for you to be able to work with, bootstrapping founders to be able to work through this process, to work through your system. That's, a 6-figure potential income, which is pretty good, while you're learning and getting experience that you can then take and ultimately go out and buy maybe a deal from us. Maybe you become a buyer from our inventory of deals that we are then become sellers for, or you just go do it on your own, which is perfectly okay as well. For all of these reasons, and a lot more, this is the time for Investpreneurship. Everybody that you know should be an Investpreneur. You should be doing the favor of sharing this content, sharing this vehicle, sharing this video, sharing this message, sharing this mentality and methodology of and concept of Investpreneurship with absolutely everybody that you know. You should be doing them that favor, because everybody needs to be an Investpreneur right now. Right? You need to go lock down an income. You need to be in a vehicle on the side, of scalable vehicle on the side, and then you need to be able to build assets and level up, right? Like, absolutely important and imperative at this moment in time. You got to manage your budget. Same way investors are telling companies to manage their runway. You need to manage your own in terms of a household budget, your household burn, right? You need to be in a position where you're prepared, and then you need to be in a position where you're in an opportunity to take advantage and shift things, right? Change your perspective, change your approach. If you shift this from looking at this as I'm a victim of, or this is a bad thing, and you get ahead of it and get proactive into it, what it turns into is an opportunity too. Instead of I'm a victim of, it becomes an opportunity too. And you're in an opportunity to really grow your asset base in the next couple of years during this type of time and beyond. You can always do this. Like, that's the thing. This is, you could take this and do this in any time, right? The last 10 years, you were able to do this when everything was going through the roof. You can definitely do this in a downturn, and then you could do it again once things swing, because things do swing. But if you buy it low, then you'll be on the upswing when it's high, right? So it's a great time to be positioned to do it. Hopefully you are interested and took something away from this. Hopefully you're joining us on the Investpreneur's journey. And then if you're interested in becoming a scout, you could definitely get in contact with us. We have a training program, a certification program, and then we literally get you into position for a hands-on experiential kind of knowledge, learning, and then enablement to be able to get into deals and move the ball forward. Look forward to working with you, and talk to you soon.